welcome back to session 3 of fostering your kids' educational, emotional, and spiritual growth. Monday, we talked a lot about distance learning and homeschooling and kind of how to juggle everything. We got some really good tips. So if you're watching this later, go back on YouTube and check out session 1. Yesterday, we talked about personality types of, ourselves, our spouses, our kids, and just what that means. It was really interesting. It's good to know your personality type and so important to know your kids, because that's going to help you know how to navigate their emotions, navigate talking to them, teaching them, disciplining them. All of that is centered around what their personality type is and what they respond to. And so today for session 3, we are going to talk about a few things. We've got how we can strengthen our kids' learning come fall when schools do open back up, if they open back up, what that's going to look like. And then how can we prepare them for the school year given their personality types? Now that we know their personality styles, what can we do with that, and how can we equip our kids' teachers or ourselves in dealing with that? And then also, how are we navigating this summer? I know a lot of things are different this year and we're upset as adults, but we need to know how we can help our kids understand that and facilitate all of that. So I'm going to get started on our first, which is how can we strengthen their learning come fall when school resumes? And so I want to hear from, we've got Dana Smith is here, and Dana is a counselor at a school here in Union School District. So, I know she's been in a lot of meetings. Heather and Rachel both have been doing both homeschooling, hybrid learning. So I think that we really want to hear from them and any ideas that they have, how we can effectively assist them with homework, how we can help them with reading assignments. And I think also I want to know how we can, I think so much is going to be emotions and stress levels. And, parents are stressed that, oh my gosh, my kids are behind. And I think we all know what we feel, it trickles down and it affects our kids' emotions. So I kind of want to talk about all that. So I'm going to turn the time over to all of you who are much more knowledgeable than me in these arenas.
Well, I just want to speak to the concern with parents thinking about their kids falling behind because we're not in school. Even though I'm a school counselor, I still struggle with that as a parent. Like, where's my daughter? What are we going to do? How are we going to keep her mind moving? And so just know when school resumes, whether we're face-to-face school or we're doing distance learning in the fall, there's going to be a learning curve for everybody. So you have to take into account, okay, what are the basics that my child needs to learn right now during this, 3 months? And then just take each month by month. For us, even though I'm in the school, I didn't actually use myself any of the platforms. Like we have Moby Max, we had Google Classrooms. And so I've seen it in passing with helping my daughter, but actually to sit down with her and go through all the different components of it and what data it measures and what she needed to get accomplished and what time frame, as a parent was very consuming for me. So I had to be diligent and sit a time, once a week, every Thursday for 30 minutes to go over her work that she did from Monday through Thursday to see what that looked like. Our household, she was stressed. I have an A-type personality, younger kid. She wrote her own schedule, her school schedule. So I should have brought it with me, but her schedule was from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And she blocked off each 45 minutes and wrote it down. And so I was impressed she did that. But I was a little taken back because I said, how am I going to do my work as an employee compared to her schedule? And so we kind of shrunk it down from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. But she was just really concerned about making sure she gets everything done for her teacher like she's supposed to, so she can go on to the next grade. So I know it's hard for people to think about taking it day by day, But during this is all new. We have to take this day by day. But as long as your kid, you are working with them on reading, or when you're doing a recipe, you're asking them what are the measurements, or read the recipe to me. You don't just have to do academics just through a book or through an app. It can be throughout the day as you learned. And that's what I learned from Heather and the other homeschool moms. Like, you can build it into the remainder of your day.
Now, a question I have is, how can we as parents, because I think Heather mentioned it on Monday, she said, no one knows your child better than you. As a parent, you know your child best. So how can we help the teachers? Because I think this is not only stressful for us and the kids, but teachers are now coming in and, these kids have been out of a traditional school for 6 months by the time they come back. How, as parents, how can we help teachers create a win with our kids?
So just keeping your mind open when you're coming in, start out from base. I do understand that if we do go back to brick and mortar in the fall, that we're going to need, when I say we're, the education system is going to need about 30 to 45 days to see where your student is at. So if school starts August 12th, don't expect for us to know what's going on with little Bobby and Susie August 14th. We need about 30 days, because you have to, for elementary level, we have to start building in routine and structure. Like, what does school look like? How do we walk in the line? Even for fifth graders, because during summer break, kids kind of forget about school, everybody rests, or mind relaxes. So now we have 5 months instead of 3 months to work with. So just give teachers 30 to 45 days to see where the child is at and assess them. And then I promise about the middle of September, we'll tell everybody where they need to be at.
Now, I will add to that, Dana. That's the same thing for us at home. I'm not a big do school throughout the summer. I have some friends who do that. They just continue maybe at a lighter pace. I'm a big take a summer break kind of person, because I need it as much as my kids do. And this summer is definitely going to look different. But I'll say, choose something to read. And so I know that with the older grades, they'll have some assigned reading, and that's fine. But I give my kids a lot of choices. We do outside time almost every single day. Even in the blazing hot summer, we can either go out first thing in the morning, or we can go to my sister's pool in the afternoon. But as a family, we spend time outside, and I think that's so important for their health and for their mental well-being. But when we start back to school in the fall, the first month is totally review. I mean, even in their math curriculum, since we're doing it's kind of a scope and sequence style. And so they start back out, and it's really just kind of getting your bearings again. And I don't think that as many kids are going to be behind as maybe some of the parents are worried about. Kids they naturally learn. They have a natural curiosity. Now, is my 16-year-old gonna be like, yeah, come on, biology? No, of course not. But it's going to take him some time to get reestablished. And I think that's our normal. And so I'm not seeing that necessarily as a negative aspect if you go back to a traditional school. But my kids, even being 3 of them, they take some time to get back in the routine. So
Yeah.
That's really good. So one question that I have, and I think all 3 of you ladies will have really good insight to that, because as homeschool moms, you guys are so involved, and obviously you know what your kids are learning. And I think I don't just speak for myself, I think I speak for a lot of parents, that before this pandemic, I knew vaguely what my kids were learning, but I didn't have a ton of insight into it. A lot of, they didn't really have homework. So it was, how was your day at school? Oh, great. But now it's kind of been, I'm a silver lining person. It's been great and it's been tough, but it's been really good being more involved. And I think parents are more involved in their schooling, and I'm sure teachers are very excited about that. But how do we not lose that? How do we not lose that when school, I know for myself, I don't want to drop my kids off at school and go back to the way things were. I don't think any of us want to do that. We want to help them more and be more involved and know. So do you have any tips on how we can be more involved in their schooling, how we can help them more, because I do think that a lot of pressure and a lot of everything is on the teachers. And I think as parents, we kind of are like, well, that's theirs. They've got it. And I think that now it needs to be more of a hybrid and more help from home. So how can we do that as parents?
So even though we homeschool, we're part of a homeschool co-op, and it's an academic co-op. So my older boys, they have language arts and they have science. And so there are lead teachers that teach them during the co-op. They will do the class, and then they have assignments that they're to accomplish during the week. And so Zane is very independent, and he's a self-starter, self-motivated. So it's really hard for me to be like, hey, what's your stuff for this week? And we have a page. We have a Schoology page, and I can see what the assignments are, and I'll check his stuff out. But it is like pulling teeth to even let him like show me what he's working on. And so I'll read over the assignments. I'll say, show me what you're working on. If he has any problems, he usually contacts the teacher himself, which is phenomenal for a 14-year-old. But I might ask, Miss So-and-so, I see this is what is assigned. Is this what you're expecting from Zane? I just want a little bit of clarity on it. What are the expectations for him? And, they're glad to tell me what it is instead of me just kind of blindly sending him in with, mediocre work, because I'm trying to teach my kids to do things with excellence. So I don't know how it is for a classroom, with 25 children, what that would look like. But for us, I'm at the co-op, I'm teaching some of their kids. We have the kids broken up by age group and abilities. And so ours is going to look different. So maybe Miss Dana will know what it would look like for contacting a teacher with more students in the classroom.
Well, just to piggyback what you said, Heather, just staying in contact with your teacher. So don't wait till the teacher has to say, hey, I noticed, Layla's struggling on X, Y, and Z, or I noticed Layla's not bringing her work home, or go ahead and be proactive. I would say once a month, like email the teacher and say, hey, how's everything going with your kid? And it may not be nothing major, but it may be like, hey, I kind of noticed Layla was struggling in reading during this time last week, but she's bounced back from that. Teachers love communication. That's the biggest thing I found with the distant learning. Our communication with the teachers have went up about 85%, because parents want to know what's going on, how to do this. Just shoot your teacher a quick email. We use Remind 101. When the teacher sends out an email, just says, okay, just to let them know that you're reading and staying in tune in your child's life. But for us at home, we build in about 20 minutes every day to go over what you learned. Like, we are conscious about, let's sit down at the dinner table after we have dinner, pull out all the papers from your bag. They have to do like a little check-in, check-out, both of us, even my 19-year-old. Because I want to see what they're doing and see if they can comprehend and remember what they learned from the day. Because for us, just saying, oh, school was great, like, what was great about it? What was not so great about it? What was your favorite part? What part, excuse my word, but sucked? Let me know, and that lets me know where my child was at that time that day.
Yeah, that's really good. And that's actually really good to hear that teachers love communication. I, for one, I may be alone in this, but I feel like if I email a teacher, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm bugging them. They have so much to do. I don't want to be like a nuisance, but it's good to know that that's not how it is. And I want to also say with those questions, and one tip that I got, which I thought was so good, because I was stuck with how was your day at school? Good. What'd you do? I don't know. And so it was such a great tip to really ask engaging questions. What was your favorite thing that you did today? Or in Union School District, they have specials. And so I learned what their schedule of specials were. So I was like, man, what did you do in art today? And it really, when I asked those more open-ended questions, I got them to start talking and know a little bit more about it. So I'm glad you said that, Dana. So I want to talk a little bit, I want to kind of turn some time over to Robert and talk about how we can help them prepare for the new school year, given their personality styles. We all kind of looked yesterday, and if you're watching this live, please go back and watch session 2. Robert did great at explaining personality styles. And so how can all of our kids are different. we're different than our kids. So how can we help them given their personality styles, Robert?
Oh, that's a broad question, but basically, you're right, Heather. Every child is, to greater or lesser degree, inquisitive and curious and wanting to learn. I would say this about any of the personality styles: applaud and encourage progress. You mentioned this, Heather, the first day. Don't demand perfection, but encourage progress and give honest assessments. Hey, I really appreciated how you worked on that. The should I say, the results may not be perfect, but if it shows progress and if it shows conscientious effort, applaud that. Now, to think about how to prepare them. Well, consider that this is a conversation you're having with them. So leave your cell phone in the other room and ask them to turn theirs off so that you can really concentrate face to face with your child. And then remember that those who are Ds, who are more dominant, driven, they like to make decisions, they like choices. So help them, give them options and help them, how can you, or which of these would you want to work on first? Or which of these do you consider more important at this time? You can talk directly to them. And usually they don't like long stories. D people don't. They like short, to the point, like Dwight Eisenhower, when he was president. He said to any of his aides, he said, if you can't put it on one sheet, don't give it to me. I want one sheet. That's it. I want it short, to the point. If your child is primarily an I, the inspirational, the fun-loving, the one who wants to be with people all the time, often you'll find that they're I can't think of the word now. Good. Their ability to concentrate for long periods of time is somewhat weakened compared to others. That's a gentle way of saying their attention span is going to be shorter. So plan on it. And when you're working on something, give them short times. Even if you have to say, okay, we're going to work on math for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, and then we're going to work on science for 15, whatever. They like to change. They don't like to be stuck. If you say you've got 100 problems to work, do all 100 of them. They're going to wave the white flag immediately. They're going to give up. So say, okay, do 25 of the problems, and then you can have 5 minutes to play a game on your phone or whatever. Just give them a change, or do 25 problems or 20 problems, whatever it is, and then you can have 10 minutes outside. Whatever it is, give them something to break it up. If you're dealing with an S child, which is the supportive, stable, the status quo, the more quiet ones, more reserved, they like company and they like to be spoken to softly and gently. If you come in, the phrase I use is like a Dutch uncle and just hammer them, they'll shut down. So speak more gently, encourage them, be sensitive to their feelings, and again, applaud effort, but be available to talk to them. And for the C's, boy, they like things just given a certain way. Dana, when you said a moment ago that your daughter set up a schedule and she had from 7 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning all the way through the day, every 45 minutes. Okay, that probably indicates she's got some C in her. That is, she wants it right. She wants to do it correctly. And she's probably pretty linear too. She takes it step by step. She's not a big picture person. Okay, so then address her in that way. Be very careful to say, here's the idea, present it very clearly in a very orderly manner. get your facts straight. Don't rush. Give her or him time to assimilate what you're saying. Does that help, Heather? Natalie, does that respond to what you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the communication is really, really important. And that's, I think that, being able to communicate with your child and with their personality is so, so important. And Heather mentioned yesterday about love languages and that too. And, we talk about, you talked about that encouragement. And I think that's where love languages can really come in. And, if you have a child whose love language is words of affirmation, that you really have to, it needs to be words. If you have one whose love language is physical touch, then when you're encouraging them, make sure you're hugging them, patting them on the back. And I think that that's so important. They really go hand in hand. And I was actually, when I was looking at the personality types, it was interesting because I don't think there's one personality type that will then have that love language. Love languages are so different and so spread out, and it's really important to be able to navigate both of those.
Yeah. If I may add, I'm reading a book right now. It's called How to Build Meaningful Relationships Through Conversations. And this author says, when you go into a conversation with your child, in this case, first thing is determine the outcome you're looking for. If the outcome is that they finish the homework, okay. If the outcome is that they comprehend a given idea, which is new to them, okay. But determine what you're aiming for, what you want the outcome to be. And second, if the conversation gets a little bit tense, wait. She says, just hit pause, wait, and think, why am I talking? Which brings you back to, what do I want to do? And if the goal is to, let's say that my child understand this concept, then if I need to back up, if we've gone too far in one direction and it's not productive, then okay, why am I talking? I want to reach this goal. I'll back up and we'll take another tact.
Let me add this, Robert.
That's very, I beg your pardon?
I said, let me add to that. Sometimes whenever you're interacting with a child and you have a certain goal, sometimes you have to realize that that goal is not going to be reached at that time. And since you do know your child, if you see that they are so overwhelmed, they're not going to learn it anyway. So that's where I would add some choices. I see that you're frustrated, and my goal is for you to learn this or to complete this, and I think we're going to need to take a break. Here are some choices. Would you like Dad to go over it with you when he gets home? Is this something that's really upsetting you that it can wait until tomorrow when we have a fresh day? You have to be flexible as the parent. They're not going to learn it anyway. It's like trying to get blood out of a turnip. So realize when the goal has to be changed.
Absolutely.
And piggyback behind that, Heather, since I have about 450 kids, I would love to know all their personality types, to be able to engage with them great. But I know sometimes I would get a kiddo that is overwhelmed, and I would tell them, hey, this is what I need from you. I need this done by the end of the day. Give me some ideas on how we can do that. And then we'll go through the ideas, and I said, okay, can I pick my top two? And they're like, okay, sure, well, let's do this. This will work with this. You can't do this during specials, because I know you like art at that time, but can you get this done in 15 minutes? So it's more like Heather was saying, a negotiation, knowing where they're at. Being raised by my grandparents, it was a time of being seen, not heard. When I say do it, you need to do it. And I try to raise my children that way because I was raised that way. But over the course of a couple of years, I was like, this is not working. I want to be able to know their personality types. I'm not giving in as a parent. I am learning how to best work with them. So I had to use the analogy with my husband. When you go to work, you have different people that you work with. You know who to talk to first in the morning, you know who to ask for a report at a certain time. You're doing the exact same things with your children. You're learning how best and when that they are productive. So you're not giving in, you're trying to get a better outcome.
Right.
And I hope that all parents throughout distance learning through this pandemic can really change the way they interact with their kids if they've seen this issue coming up. Because I think the way I think of it is, you know, so I think all of us, whether you're staying at home with your kids or whether you have an outside job, we've all had a job before, and you think about your supervisor and who likes to be micromanaged. I know I do not. I think I've had a boss who has micromanaged me, and it's awful. I don't want them peeking over my shoulder throughout every step. And I think that too often we don't see kids on a level playing field with us. And I think we need to. And it's, you know, we're not above our children and having to dictate to them. It is a level playing field. So giving them choices, negotiating, and understanding where they're at, just, it cannot be overlooked. And knowing their personality styles really helps with that. You know, my youngest, who is a D type, very dominant, very defiant at this point, but really direct. You know, when I give choices, it makes a difference. What do you want to do? Here's your choices, but you can do it. You can have what you want. And, you know, Dana's talked about, you know, she has 450 kids. And again, my son, who just loves Miss Dana, is a type I, and she makes him feel special and feel like a star when he walks into that school. When he walks into the school and she says, "It's Catcher," he's on cloud 9. And it's, you know, we can do that at home too. I know, to make him feel special sometimes, whatever that may be. And so I think it's so important to really use these, because you can use it in their schooling, and even letting teachers know, hey, this is my child's personality type. And then in the family, because we're all a family, but as we talked about yesterday, all of our kids are different. We may have parented them all the same, and we can't do that. We have to parent them differently because they're different people.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I used to be a classroom teacher before I had my children, and I do not even teach that way. My kids go to school Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday, so we kind of have a hybrid. And it doesn't work trying to be a classroom teacher at home. You know, I thought, oh, I've got this. My oldest son has Tourette's, so we just felt like that was less anxiety, less stress off of him, and it improved his condition to be home a couple days. And I thought, oh, this is going to be, you know, I've got this. But I didn't. And I struggled for a while trying to set it up like I taught in my classroom, you know, and it didn't. I had to model it for him. I mean, we do our spelling words on the trampoline, and he's jumping and moving, and, you know, I mean, our neighbors probably think we're crazy, but we're spelling, you know, we're out there. It doesn't have to be, you know, sitting, writing, spelling words, you know, find out what they like. And, you know, Liam, we've struggled with him. He's learning language, but actually writing a story or whatever. And his teacher, you know, we just kind of wait, because every child develops at every different stage differently. So wasn't really worried about it, but about a week or two ago, about 2 weeks ago, he sat down and wrote a silly story about an octopus. And I think that's just because he wasn't expected to do the worksheet with everyone else on that certain day. He was ready, and whatever it is, maybe it was, you know, watching the aquarium thing that inspired it. I don't know, but I think that, you know, just let them develop in their own time. So.
I think that's great. That's such a good reminder. And I think, because I know with my first, I was like, he was not walking at 9 months old, and I was like, he's never gonna walk. I was like, that's it. And it was the same with potty training, and I stressed about that. And even now, my youngest, I knows maybe, I mean, he just finished pre-K. He knows maybe 5 letters, but he knows the origin and background story of every single Marvel superhero in the universe. And it's just, he's just a different, and I'm like, everyone tells me, his teachers told me, he's going to develop in his own way. And it's so important, because when we stress about these milestones they should be reaching, we're projecting that onto them. And who wants to feel like they're behind or not enough? And because it does all come. My son, who just completed 2nd grade, at the end of kindergarten, he was placed on remedial reading, and they were concerned about him. And I think by the 2nd month of 1st grade, he was on a 3rd grade level reading, and it clicked all of a sudden. So it was a good reminder that, oh, okay, and we didn't stress about it. Great. And now he reads on his own and he loves it, and he can, like Liam, he's starting to write stories and kind of getting to that level. So it's really good. I love that you said that, because I think that that's not said enough, Rachel, is that let them develop. So I want to take all of this, and now we're in summer, and I know summer looks different. It looks different. And I kind of want to talk about, because there are, just from a church standpoint in general, camp got canceled. Camp is canceled, and mission trip was canceled. And then we've got so many places that aren't opening yet, and vacations. I know for my family, we're set to go to Disney World and Universal, and we don't know if that's going to happen. And so I kind of want to talk about just ideas and tips that, as an adult, we're upset about these things. And I'm upset that I can't go to the movie theaters. And that seems silly, but I love going to movie theaters. And I'm upset that I can't sit there and eat a whole bucket of popcorn. And I'm an adult, but I still have times where I want to whine about it. And kids don't navigate their emotions as well as adults do. Well, sometimes. And so I kind of want to talk about that. What are we doing as summer is different, and what can we do for our kids? So I'll say one thing that every summer we make a summer bucket list, and we actually put little stickers on it. It's on a big foam board, and we have 4 categories, and it's places we want to go, things we want to do, people we want to see, and skills we want to learn. And so when we did the things we want to do, when we sat down yesterday to do this, I really tried to aim them towards things at home. And it was amazing. When I sat down, I thought there's going to be nothing. And the kids were so creative and so excited about movie nights. They want to camp in the living room. There's little things like that we do in our family. We do backwards dinner, where it's dessert first, and they have to eat all their dessert if they want their dinner. And we do a yes day, where parents say yes for an entire day. We obviously have guidelines beforehand, but there's so many things I think that we can do. And so I was trying to focus on those and not the things that we can't. But at the same time, also having honest conversations with your kids when we were putting places we want to go. And I was putting down Science Museum, and I said, I don't know if it's going to be open, but we will try. And it's, as we go through with that, I think it's really important that we let kids have those emotions about it. My oldest he came to me, and excuse the wordage, but he said, I hate the coronavirus. And that's what he said. He just said, I hate the coronavirus. And it was a good moment to say, to not have to always be this person who's all together. And I said, man, me too. I do too. And so we talked about, and we had a really honest conversation where I wasn't this pinnacle of strength, but we got to really have a conversation together as 2 equals about, when I said, what do you miss? What do you want to do? And he said, I miss seeing my friends. I miss sleepovers. And I was saying, I said, I miss going to the movies with you guys and so we had he had a safe place and a safe outlet to say, I don't like this, and I want to be emotional about it. And I think that that's so important, that we really do let them have those emotions, because it is awful. This is not a fun time. I think that the fun ended. I'm introverted and I'm starting to not have fun with it now. Like, so I want to hear, what are your, do you have any plans for the summer, any tips, anything that you think that others can, like, this is what I'm going to use, maybe you can benefit from it too?
I think my perspective is a little bit different. I will preface it with saying that we are a family that loves church camp. So of course we were bummed that we didn't go to church camp, or that we're not going to church camp, but I choose to receive this summer as a gift of rest. And so I've told my kids that, and it doesn't mean we're not going to do anything. Thankfully, we didn't have a humongous vacation planned this summer because we're big travelers, but my boys are missing the mission trip. And then after mission trip, they were going to go to Yellowstone with my parents. And so they are bummed about it, but they know that they're going to get to make it up because we do travel a lot. But we don't plan out the whole summer. Like how you said, you have a board of things you want to do. We kind of have to like ebb and flow with Nathan's job. And so we might say, you guys want to go to the lake next week? Because we have a travel trailer, and that's something we can do safely, and we don't have to be close to other people. So we'll kind of plan things in like that. The only thing we had planned this summer, it's kind of sad. It is actually the internment of Nathan's grandparents' ashes, and it's in another state. So we'll still do that. And it means that we'll still get to see his parents and sisters, and so we'll get to see a little bit of family. I know that's not the same as going to Yellowstone, but I have a few friends that they're letting their kids in this phase of the quarantine, they're letting their kids get together with other kids. We still don't let our kids go to the store, but they're getting to have some playtime together. And I think that makes a world of difference for my children. We will spend some time at my sister's pool. We will just have, spontaneous games or just whatever, but it's more within a couple of days we decide. So it's not like there was this big thing and you said we were going to get to do it and now we don't get to. So our summer is going to be a little bit more wait and see, but it's also going to be more low key. So my kids understand that things come and go, and through Nathan's job, they've learned flexibility. So that's kind of come in handy for this summer. They're like, it's okay, we're sad, but it's fine, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. And I think that also speaks to, and I was actually telling my husband this yesterday. Yesterday, Heather, you spoke and you said, it's okay to let kids be bored and navigate this. And I think that that's something like I said, I was just talking to my husband yesterday, because I said, well, this is different. And, I work full time and he works full time, and they can't go where they normally go for care in the summer. And I'm trying to limit their exposure. So it's very much like, man, they may just have days around the house. And I think it is okay. It's okay to not have every moment planned and say, what's this huge activity we're going to do? I know, I think I could speak for all of us. None of us grew up like that. I think that I know, like, my mom was like, okay, it's summer, like, have fun. And go play. And we went and played. And it's like, that's what I don't remember having every day planned. And it was okay. And it sparked imagination and self-reliance and independence. And so I think it was really good. So that's good. And yeah, these, I think you're right. At this time in quarantine, I think a lot of people are kind of slowly, okay, we can see this family or this kid. I know my niece and nephew are coming over for a sleepover Friday, and my kids have not stopped talking about it. They're like, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened. I'm like, all right. I think it's just because it's social interaction. So Rachel, what is your kind of plan with this summer with two boys and kind of in that?
Well, and we're big outdoorsy people. We hike and stuff. We usually go to Colorado a couple times and hike, and so we're hoping to still continue to do that. We are fortunate to live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of kids that are my kids' age, and I call it our neighborhood family. it was hard first because we have kids in and out of our house. And so that was really hard at first to establish, you know, we may play outside or in the front yard or ride bikes together. And so they're getting used to that. But they play a lot with their neighborhood kids. So I'm glad that we can still have those relationships with them. Now we're like you, we like to go to the movies one day. We like to go to the zoo one day in the summer to kind of keep busy. So I'm looking for ideas. I like the ice cream dinner. We're going to do that one. But with boys, you know, I feel like you kind of have to be a little bit more active, or at least my boys, you know, just being in the house. So my oldest one that's driven, he says he's finishing 6th grade math, and then he wants to continue 7th grade. So he wants to do, that's his goal this summer, is to finish a grade. So that'll be interesting to help him through that. So we just kind of spend a lot of time outdoors with a lot of places being closed. Like we have a bucket list too, also, that we just write down things that we want to do. So we'll just have to, you know, see what we can do.
Yeah.
I don't have any great answers.
No, it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, that's where we're all at, and we're all kind of taking one day at a time. And the ones who are planners like me and want to plan it out, it's just not how it's going to be. And it's tough to understand that. As we kind of wrap up a little bit, I do want to touch on building our family spiritually during this time. And I think that, you know, when we are so in this different time, that some things we can lose sight of. And I think one thing that we just can't lose sight of is our spiritual health. And, you know, I know that's affected with camps. Camp is such an amazing time, and mission trips and all these serving opportunities. And so I think that, you know, it's important that we all maintain our regular Bible study and try and find things that we can do as the family. Bethany provides, if you don't already have it, Bethany provides a free Right Now Media account. And I've got on the next slide, I've actually got here. And so you can go to bethany.info. If you don't have it, you click resources and you can get a free Right Now Media account. They have really great family ones. They even have one, it's like a 5-minute lesson, and it is 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, my kids can do that. Let's all gather around. Let's watch for 5 minutes and do something together and learn that, you know, if you are members of Bethany, you know, I know I've tried to, for kids, make experiences kind of enhanced during this time and try to create different opportunities. And I know if you're watching later and you're part of a different church, a lot of kids' churches are doing that. But I think that it's also important not to overlook our own. And it's different. And I feel like so much, yes, church is not in a building. Church is not in a building, and we can do church, but we have lost that personal connection. And seeing your church family in person, it's just good for your spirit and it's good for your soul. And we've kind of lost that in a way. And so I encourage everyone to try and find, individually and in a family, something to keep your spiritual growth on track and not become stagnant during that time, or too comfortable, or which I will say, granted, I love church in pajamas. We're starting in-person services this Sunday. I may be in pajamas. I don't know, because I don't know if I'm ready to wear actual clothes now. But I do also with volunteering, you know, I think it's a good time to find that. And I know that we're very limited with that, but you know, there's John 3:16, Bright Spot has serving opportunities. June 20th, I believe, there's a blood drive where you can still serve others during this time. And I think that that's important too. I think summer is always a time where we are trying to serve others. And that's kind of been a little bit different. I got an idea from another mom that to draw pictures and send them to nursing homes if we can't go there, of course. And I thought that was so great that my kids can just make fun, bright cards and pictures for the elderly who are not seeing family right now. They're not able to at this time. So there are a lot of resources. I don't know if anyone has anything that they've done or plan to do for spiritual growth, but I think all of us would love tips on that.
So there are several members of our church, like Rhonda Johnson's dad, Mr. Paul. He's in assisted living or a retirement home, and he's usually very active. And so he is quarantined there for their safety. So I had Lydia send pictures to a couple people, to Miss Neal, Mary Painter's mom. And so just for, it doesn't matter what she drew or wrote, they were so thrilled to get those. So even if you have a list of people from our church who need, like the Jarmans, who are super active members of our church, just for them to get even a scribbled picture that says, this was my dog, and they would think it was the best piece of art ever. So that's something that we do. And then, of course, Bright Spot is going out and they're doing door to door. So it's a little bit different during this time. I don't think kids can participate, but they can still, help with the snack bags. Before long, I think Bright Spot will be collecting flip-flops. And so you can go to Walmart and get flip-flops for pretty cheap, and they disperse those. Or the Day Center downtown, if you collect those little miniature bottles of shampoo, conditioner, the toothpaste that the dentist gives you, anything like that, make little bags up. Just one person can go in the Day Center and hand it to the officer at the front desk, and they will get it to whoever needs it.
That's really good. That's really good. Are you, and I think too, look at, if you're not a part of, if you're in Bethany, or again, if you're watching and you're not a part, but all churches, I think, have those small groups. And I think that is so important during this time, and just being able to connect. I know I'm in a small group, and the ladies, I couldn't make it because I was exhausted, but they all met in the church parking lot in their cars 6 feet away, and just ate dinner in the back of their car and kind of talked. And it's like, it does something for you, and that's who's there to support you and vent out your frustrations, because it is frustrating, and it's important to acknowledge that. But having people who are like-minded with you biblically and spiritually, it really does something for you. So, and start a new challenge. I love, again, Right Now Media has really good videos, Quick Shots, I think it's called. And there's like 10 episodes, but each episode is only 7 minutes. I can do something for under 10 minutes. I can find, and my attention will last that long, and just get my fill of something biblical, just because it helps when you either start your day with it, end your day with it. I just find that it really does make a difference, and it helps all these other things we've talked about. I'm in a better headspace to do that when I fed myself spiritually. I think for sure.
Also, I do this, like I'll ask some of my really good friends, what are you reading right now? We'll trade books, or they'll be like, this is so not you, you would hate it, don't waste your money. So, people who know you, whatever they're reading, whether if it's in a season of raising small ones, or if it's just an encouraging book, whatever it may be, ask your friends. They have good recommendations. So instead of just kind of looking through, maybe I like this, maybe I won't.
Absolutely. That's so true. I know, I don't even know if Mardell is open anymore, but I was a person that I would go to Mardell during their book sale, and I was just grabbing like $2 and $3 books. I did not know what they were, but I was like, let's try it out. And it's true. I would find one and I would send it to my friend, a picture of it. And I'm like, you need this book. This is something that you need in this season. And if I was done with it, I'd send it off to them or meet up with them. And that's so good to have because I know I can't depend on me. I don't know enough. But it's so great to hear from everyone else that, hey, I watched this or I read this, and that's a great tip. So as we kind of finish up, I've got Robert's email as well as mine if anyone wants more information or to expand upon it. Does anyone have any questions or comments or last wrap-ups before we end this?
I'll add one more thing. You're talking about, our spiritual lives and staying on top of that. And another thing you can consider is, just like homeschooling can be a lifestyle, Jesus is a lifestyle. And so just throughout the day, how it talks about, when you lie down and when you rise up and when you're walking by the way, that we're supposed to be teaching our children. And so throughout the day, it could just be in a certain situation where you say, God's word says that we are to do all things without grumbling or complaining. So let's try again with a joyful attitude. Or, God's word says that whatever you do, do it with your whole heart, like you're doing it for the Lord. And so, it just might be a small verse throughout the day to encourage your children, but God's word does not return void, and it's being planted in their heart. So it doesn't have to be a formal sit down and everyone's present, but, just verses throughout the day, they'll remember those.
My takeaway, I tell parents to just enjoy this time with your children, with your family, be in the moment with them, because 10 years from now, they're not going to think about the coronavirus, but they will remember, hey, we sat up at 1 o'clock in the morning looking at stars, eating, marshmallows. Or Rachel, like you were saying, it'd be like, oh, Mom, do you remember when we practiced my spelling words on the trampoline? They're going to remember those moments, and those moments are lasting, lifelong impressions on them that contribute to their, how they parent and their character. So just be in the moment and enjoy this time with your kids. And like Heather said, just pour into them, pour in scriptures, pour in words of wisdom, have those open-ended conversations with them to see where their thoughts are and how they see the world and how they're feeling.
That's really good. And I think just to piggyback off of that, there was one of my favorite poets is Walt Whitman. Love Walt Whitman, love all of his stuff. And one of his quotes, I think it rings so true for this time and for everything. And his quote was, "We were together, I forget the rest." And I think that's so important. And believe it can be frustrating. But I think that with the tips of personality styles and I think giving ourselves grace during all this time. We're done with distance learning, thank the Lord. And that kind of just opens up a lot of things. But yeah, you're so right. Just have fun, give yourselves grace. And I think above all, stop expecting it to look like what you thought it was going to look like, because it's not going to. And if it means that there's more electronic time or junk food days, or you're just, so tired that everyone just wants to lay around the house in pajamas, that, that's okay. And I think that above all, like you said, Heather, keep Jesus at the forefront. Your kids are listening. They are listening. And during this time, that's what they're taking away from it. They're taking away what they know. And if you're keeping Jesus at the forefront, it does fall into place. Everything does. You'll find that other things are easier when you've taken that time. And, there's a reason for that. That's that peace and comfort that you get from God. And you need that to get through everything else and all of this quarantine and pandemic. And you do need that. So I love that. Well, Robert, do you have anything?
No, I really appreciate all of your contributions. It's been a pleasure to do this. One thing I will mention, I'm reading through the Bible using the U version or the U Bible application. You can start this chronological view or reading of the Bible anytime. I do it. It takes about, 10 to 15 minutes a day. My problem is that when I finish the day's reading, I always want to read more. I find it something that really helps me in my spiritual life. But thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot. Thank you.
Yes, I have as well. And I do just want to say with Bible, my husband just found the coolest app. And honey, what's the name of the app? The spoken word. Okay, he doesn't know. I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it in there, but it is the Bible. It's an audio one, but it's set to like a hip hop beat. And so it makes the Bible into like spoken word. And I was like, wait, I really like this. And I was like, because sometimes I was like, wow, this is great. So when I work out, I'm like, wait, I can get my Bible reading in. And it's got this really cool beat. And it was just, I thought it was so creative. And I was like, man, so figure out what works for you. I will say, I am not a person who can just sit and say, I'm going to read for this long. I can't do it. But yeah, find what works for you. And I am going to find the link for that because it's really cool. Well, thank you everybody for being a part of this. I hope it's been beneficial for you. I know it has been for me, and I hope that we can bless other people who have been trying to navigate this time. So thank you very much. And I will see everybody later.